At the shareholders' meeting, my husband publicly announced that he would transfer 5% of his shares to Jessie. Because of that, I ended up with 0.1% fewer shares than she had, and the CEO position slipped through my fingers. After the meeting, I confronted my husband, but Jason brushed it off and explained, "Emily, it's not like you've never been CEO before. Not holding the position for a couple of years won't affect you. But Jessie is different. She's been away from the workplace for a long time, and this is the perfect chance for her to get familiar with it again. I promised her mom I'd look after her. I can't just ignore that." Hearing the protective tone in Jason's voice, the words I'd prepared instantly sank to the bottom of my chest. He was once again choosing Jessie over me. Seeing that I remained quiet, Jason tried to comfort me. "I'm just keeping a promise. Besides, everyone in the company knows you're my wife. Even if you're not CEO, no one would dare disrespect you. I promise next time, I'll take your side." I let out a cold laugh but didn't say anything. He didn't know I had already submitted both my resignation agreement and the divestment papers. Seeing that my expression didn't soften, Jason's smile faded and his tone darkened. "It's just a few shares. I gave them away because I wanted to. Do you really need to give me that attitude over something so small?" I stared at the photo frame on his desk without responding. Under the light, Jessie's bright smile in the picture looked especially harsh to my eyes. This wasn't my first time in Jason's luxurious office, yet I had never realized that if the frame were angled just a bit differently, it revealed a wedding-style photo of him and Jessie. Such a prominently displayed wedding portrait. Was he declaring that Jessie was his true love, while I was merely the tool he used to appease the elders who pressured him to get married? I pulled my gaze back. "Small? The shares you casually handed out are marital assets. You didn't even say a word to me before giving them to someone outside our marriage. How is that small? All of this came from my sleepless nights and years of hard work. They're not props for you to vent your temper on." Jason always had a bad temper. Whenever he got angry, he liked taking it out on cups. Because of that, the office had to replace a large number of them every week. Out of habit, he reached toward the desk to grab one, only to realize his hand landed on empty space. The cup had already shattered earlier when I confronted him the moment I walked in. Grinding his teeth, he glared at me. "Those 5% are under my name. They have nothing to do with marital assets. Emily Shen, I'm warning you. Stop using our marriage to threaten me." Seeing the veins bulge on his forehead, I let out a cold laugh. Those shares under his name were ones I had given him in the first place. If we really counted things carefully, the only things that truly belonged to him were the unpaid corporate debts. If it hadn't been for the elders' insistence, I would never have married into the G family when it was on the brink of bankruptcy. To help the G family save G Corporation, I signed a contract promising a 3-year term as acting CEO to handle operations, while the Shen family would inject funds to settle their debts. But now, barely a year had passed, and Jason had already forgotten how miserable and humiliated the G family had been back then, when people looked down on them everywhere they went. Yet he still helped Jessie buy shares among the shareholders, helped her gather votes, and even personally gave her 5% of his own. That made her surpass me by 0.1%, all under the excuse of helping her get used to the corporate world. Did he really think I didn't know exactly what he was planning? He saw G Corporation improving day by day and wanted to pave a path for Jessie. Their wedding photos were already taken. He must have fantasized about a second marriage for a long time. As the thought crossed my mind, my voice turned cold. "Jason, since you've worked so hard to make Jessie the one managing the company, I'll grant your wish. Just don't regret it later." I walked out of the meeting room in my stilettos. Behind me, something crashed loudly against the floor. I told the assistant waiting outside, "When he's done venting, bring him a new set of cups. Since we're still legally married, we should at least maintain appearances." "Miss Shen, your termination documents have already been submitted," she replied. The assistant reminded me, and I nodded. When I first took over as CEO, it had been a contractual agreement between both families, but because I was the leading party, I held the right to terminate the contract unilaterally. Now that Jason G. had been found guilty of violating the terms of our arranged marriage contract and had also allowed Jesse to enter the company and interfere with official business, I had every reason to end the agreement directly. The assistant nodded and immediately sent a message to the Shen group to prepare all the termination documents. I needed to let Jason know that the Shen family was not a flock of lambs for him to slaughter. Just then, a bucket of paint was thrown directly in front of me. I couldn't dodge in time, and my custom-made suit was instantly ruined, completely destroyed. Seeing what happened, I gave a cold look toward the culprit. She stared back at me with disdain. "What are you looking at? You think you're still the CEO? You just spent a few years abroad drinking foreign ink. Don't think you're something special. You knocked over the materials meant for renovating President Jesse's office. You'll compensate the full amount. One bucket costs $100,000. Pay up." My assistant's voice turned cold. "This is President Shen. Watch your mouth." Ever since I returned to the country and married Jason, almost no one in the company, aside from him and a few major shareholders, knew that I was not only CEO of G Corporation, but also the head of the Shen Group. During my tenure, I appeared in front of employees very rarely. I usually finished my work and left immediately, so it wasn't surprising that they didn't recognize me. But I didn't expect the woman to snort in contempt after hearing the assistant speak. "President Shen, don't think I don't know who you are. You're just a shameless woman who forced her way into the G family. If President G hadn't had no choice, why would he ever marry you? Getting the benefit and still acting high and mighty. I hate people like you, those who take advantage of others when they're vulnerable." Hearing the assistant whisper in my ear, I finally understood what she meant. Everyone in the company knew that before Jason married me, he and Jesse had been in a relationship. But Jesse had fallen into a coma after an accident and been unconscious for a full year. She only woke up half a month ago. My appearance was seen as cutting in and stealing love. Everyone believed I had broken them apart. Now that Jesse had returned to the company and word had spread that Jason and I were not getting along, these employees felt emboldened to speak up on her behalf. I glanced at the woman's arrogant expression and asked coldly, "Who told you I forced my way into the G family?" She scoffed. "President Jesse told us, of course. Even if she didn't, we could figure it out ourselves. You parachuted into the company and took the CEO seat. If that's not shameless, what is? President G would never let an unrelated outsider take such a high position." As soon as she finished, people around her chimed in, accusing me of being the reason Jason and Jesse were separated, and blaming me for humiliating Jesse during the shareholders' meeting. Their unpleasant voices drilled into my ears, and I couldn't help clenching my fists. "Have security come immediately. I don't want to see these people here tomorrow." The moment the words left my mouth, Jessie appeared behind the group, with Jason standing beside her. "Jason," she said softly, "I know my win this time wasn't exactly fair, but I really do want to work hard for the company, to make up for the time I wasn't here for the company and for you. But no matter what, I won. Even if President Shen dislikes me, she shouldn't fire my people in front of me. These employees have been with me for years. You know me, Jason. I'm someone who values relationships. But with just one sentence, President Shen fired everyone I trained for so many years. How am I supposed to work in this company from now on?" As she spoke, her eyes filled with tears, her expression looking unbearably aggrieved. Jason's heart immediately softened. Jason turned and glared at me. "Emily Shen. Jessie has been sick for a long time after getting out of the hospital. She's already sensitive and overthinking everything, and you still fired her people right in front of her. Don't think I don't know what you're planning. You just want to vent your anger, don't you? I'm telling you right now, I gave those shares to Jessie of my own free will. If you have a problem, direct it at me. Don't hurt her." Watching Jason shield Jessie like she was some helpless child, my hands curled tightly into my palms. All for Jesse, an outsider. He had confronted me publicly again and again, completely forgetting this was a workplace, not some street market. He had no awareness whatsoever that he was a married man. "Jason," I said coldly, "I'll say it one more time. Fire those people immediately and blacklist them permanently. Otherwise, I'll halt this quarter's investment right now." Jason froze for a brief second, but Jesse's single tear made him surrender instantly, ignoring every possible consequence. His eyes flared with anger. No. Not happening. As long as I'm here, you're not firing a single one of them. Emily Shen, don't forget, this is G Corporation. And I want you to apologize to Jesse. Right now, in front of everyone. A wave of approving murmurs spread around us. People were waiting to see me humiliated. I stared at Jason, my expression dark. You really need to recognize your position. There are things I don't want to say in public, but if you insist on acting this way, then you'll take full responsibility for the consequences your behavior brings to this company. A glint of triumph flashed through Jessie's eyes before she cast me a taunting look. She opened her mouth, immediately twisting the story. Jason, don't be angry. If President Shen wants to put me in my place, I'll take it. It's just a bit of suffering. I can handle it. As soon as she finished, she started coughing dramatically, like she would collapse at any moment. Jason, of course, was heartbroken. He quickly told someone to bring her a cup of water. You're too soft-hearted, he said in a gentle, scolding tone. Your body is just starting to recover. If you keep this up, your mom will blame me for not taking good care of you again. He blew on the water to cool it before handing it to her. The people around us gasped again, praising their so-called true love. Even Jason, who never cared for details, seemed somewhat different now. Then a sudden burst of applause broke the overly sentimental atmosphere. When everyone turned to look, I withdrew my hand and said coldly, Jason, since you refuse to wake up, don't blame me for not warning you. This quarter's investment is gone because of your actions today. When I finished, I turned to walk away, but Jason grabbed my arm. What do you mean? I'm just standing up for Jesse. You'd cut funding over something this small. Before I could reply, Jesse immediately started coughing again. Jason, it's all my fault. I know that during the time I wasn't here, the company relied on President Shen's investment to survive. She just wants to put pressure on me. I can take it. Don't argue with her because of me. Her words instantly erased any doubt from the onlookers' minds. They all decided that not only was I petty and unable to accept defeat, but I was also abusing my power. As whispers rose again, I stared coldly at Jessie. I had underestimated her before. I didn't expect she wasn't just pretty, she was very good at pretending. President Shen, apologize to President Jesse immediately, someone shouted, and soon others echoed it. Jason comforted Jessie and promised her he would make me apologize publicly today. Then he looked at me. Emily Shen, if you don't apologize to Jesse, you're not leaving this company. Right after he said that, several security guards rushed toward me. I glanced at my assistant, and he immediately understood, handing me the phone he was still on a call with. I turned around, held it directly in front of Jason, and said coldly, We'll see who should be apologizing to whom. Why don't we first hear what your grandfather has to say? Jason's expression changed instantly. From the phone came a loud, stern voice scolding him harshly. Jason G. Apologize to Emily right now and get back here immediately. Before Jason could respond, the call was abruptly cut off. I let out a soft, mocking laugh. I only accept an apology on your knees. Which one of you wants to start? Both Jason and Jesse immediately went pale. Then Jason exploded. Emily Shen, he shouted, furious. I didn't even look at him. Calmly I said, Fine, don't kneel. In that case, this quarter's investment is officially gone. Also, my clothes were maliciously damaged by your people. They'll compensate the full amount. My assistant immediately pulled up the invoice for the outfit and addressed Jesse with an icy tone. President Jesse, this custom outfit costs $8 million. How would you like to pay for it? Jesse's face turned as white as paper, and she looked helplessly at Jason. After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth, pulled a credit card from his wallet, and threw it over. No password, he muttered. I gave the two of them one last cold look and turned to leave. My assistant checked a new message on his phone and asked, President Shen, are we really canceling the funding for this quarter? Did you not hear me earlier? I replied. Cancel it. Not a single cent goes to G Corporation. He scratched his head. I thought you were just angry. After all, the son-in-law did go a bit too far today. A bit too far? I sneered. He's completely forgotten where he came from. Then I'll let him remember what life was like for the G family before my Shen family lifted them out of the mud. After returning from G Corporation, I focused on handling Shen Group's routine affairs. It wasn't long before Jason and Jesse issued a public apology statement. The very next second, Jason called me. "Emily Shen, I already apologized publicly. You should stop now. Restore the funding for G Corporation." Hearing the arrogance in his tone, I couldn't help but laugh coldly. "Jason, I told you, you'll bear all the consequences of what happened today. You're an adult. Take responsibility for your actions. Don't make me teach you something this basic." He let out an enraged shout through the phone. "Emily Shen, just you wait. I'm going to tell Grandpa everything you've done." Then he hung up on me. At that moment, my assistant rushed in, panic written all over his face. "President Shen, someone edited what you said at G Corporation today and uploaded it online. It's gone viral. People are cursing non-stop and the stock price is dropping." My brows tightened. I grabbed my phone immediately. The first video showed the moment I declared that the traitorous employees would be fired. The clip was cut in such a way that a few sentences completely twisted reality. My assistant spoke anxiously. "These videos are dominating every trending list, and they're still rising. The official website is getting flooded." I tightened my fists and ordered coldly, "Get the PR team. Remove the trending posts immediately. Trace the source." Just then, Jason's grandfather called. My brows twitched slightly. "Emily, it's been a long time since you visited this old man. I recently got a new batch of fine tea. Come drink a cup with me." I steadied myself and replied with a polite smile, "Of course." After hanging up, I instructed the assistant to handle the tasks I'd assigned. He hesitated, then said, "President Shen, judging from everything, it's most likely the G family who leaked those videos. Why are you still treating them so kindly?" My assistant was still fuming, but I simply let out a quiet laugh and didn't respond. It was precisely because I knew the G family was behind this that I needed to go. Otherwise, wouldn't all their efforts go to waste? I had barely mentioned terminating the CEO contract when the videos suddenly blew up. Besides, among the G family members who had the authority to handle the contract, only Jason's grandfather had that level of access. I had no doubt he played a part in this. After all, with the G family rising rapidly, it was only natural for him to feel threatened about future control. But he shouldn't have used the Shen Group as his target. Since he dared to touch my company, he should be prepared to pay the price. I picked up the wine I had purchased just a few days earlier and told my assistant, "Bring my coat," before heading out. He hurried after me. "It's already in the trunk." When we arrived at the G family estate, a loud scolding echoed through the courtyard. As we got closer, I saw Jason had brought Jessie back as well. Jessie was standing at the entrance looking pitiful. I pretended not to see her and walked past with the wine in hand. As we brushed shoulders, Jessie hissed through clenched teeth, "Emily Shen, don't get proud too soon. So what if you married Jason? The only person he loves is me." I ignored her. This marriage was already at the edge of collapse anyway. Before I even stepped inside, I heard Jason's grandfather lecturing him, "Hurry up and give me a great-grandchild with Emily." But Jason's face was full of resistance. "No. I already sacrificed my marriage for the G family. Why should I have a child with her?" Jason's grandfather's expression darkened. "The Shen family values loyalty. Even though the G family is flourishing now, we're still lacking internally. As long as the two of you have a child, the Shen Group will truly belong to our family. Only then can the G family swallow the entire Shen Group." Hearing that made me laugh coldly. So this was their plan all along. But it depended on whether Jason even had the ability to pull it off. Right then, I sent a direct order to the Shen Group Projects Division to cancel all cooperation with the G family. My assistant stepped forward with the wine, easing the tension in the room, and Jason's grandfather immediately smoothed over his expression. "Emily, you're here," he said warmly. "Butler, open the dining hall. We shouldn't let the dishes get cold." The butler, reading the atmosphere, quickly brought out the food and rushed to take the wine from my assistant. "Madam, you always know what the master needs. He was just saying he wanted a drink, and you brought it right when he needed it." Jason's grandfather chuckled in agreement, but then Jason, right in front of me, pulled Jessie inside the dining hall as if she belonged there. Jesse hasn't eaten all day. Do you want the G family to be criticized for mistreating guests? At those words, my hands curled tightly. Fine. If the two of them wanted to be together so desperately, I would gladly grant their wish. Jason's grandfather forced out an awkward smile, but at the moment he should have stepped in. He stayed silent. Since that was the case, there was no longer any reason for me to maintain ties between our families. I lifted my glass, but my assistant quickly stopped me. Don't drink it. It's water. Then he immediately handed me his phone. The screen showed surveillance footage. Jesse had tampered with my car and swapped the wine. A moment later, Jessie put on her sweetest poisonous smile. Emily, you're a wealthy heiress. I didn't expect you to dilute wine with plain water. The room instantly fell silent with embarrassment. Jason shot to his feet as if he had caught me red-handed. Emily Shen, what is the meaning of this? Are you insulting the entire G family by bringing a bottle of water? Just then, feedback came from the Shen Group's PR team. The files had arrived in my inbox. As expected, although Jesse was the one who uploaded the vid, Jason's grandfather had been fueling the spread behind the scenes. Since that was the case, there was no longer any need to be merciful. My assistant couldn't stand it anymore and placed the surveillance video from the car right in front of the two of them. No need to argue. I've already called the police. You both can explain yourselves when they arrive. Only then did Jason's grandfather hurry to smooth things over, but before he could say anything, he received a message. G Corporation's funding chain had been cut off, and every collaborative project with the Shen Group was requesting immediate withdrawal. I watched their expressions shift from shock to panic as I poured the fake wine from my glass onto the floor. The show has only just begun, I said coldly. Why are you all in such a hurry? As soon as the words left my mouth, the tightly shut doors were pushed open from the outside. Members of the Shen Group project division flooded in, each holding a contract. President Shen, everything has been completed. All cooperation with the G family has been terminated. The department head handed me a project list containing every investment and collaboration the Shen Group had made with G Corporation over the past year. Fortunately, we discovered the issue early. Our projects with them weren't too deep. Pulling out now is like cutting out a rotten piece before it spreads. Jason's face went completely pale. Emily Shen, what are you trying to do? These are agreements between our families. Canceling them like this? Is this your way of humiliating the G family? My grandfather is right here. You're being completely disrespectful. I turned a cold gaze toward him. His eyes were burning with rage, his face turning red. I let out a soft laugh. Jason, I already warned you. If you insisted on giving the shares to Jesse, then I would withdraw every cent of our funding. I'm simply fulfilling my word, just as you fulfilled your promise to take care of Jesse. Jason's face fell even further. Before he could speak, his grandfather stepped in, attempting to mediate. Emily, I heard about the shares. Yes, Jason was wrong, but it's only a small portion. There's no need to terminate our agreement over something minor. Jason is still young, prone to impulsiveness. You're a seasoned businesswoman. Surely you can overlook this childish mistake? I picked up my tea, quietly ignoring him. The truth was obvious. Jesse had quickly gained control over so many shares because Jason's grandfather supported her behind the scenes. With Jason's limited influence, he could never have convinced the other shareholders otherwise, and that was exactly why I insisted on ending this so-called marriage agreement. The G family wanted Shen Group's investment while also trying to secure all control for themselves. But the world doesn't cater to such wishful thinking. If Jason is young, then Jesse certainly isn't, I said flatly. Tell me, what was her intention in maliciously editing and uploading the video of what happened at G Corporation? This incident caused serious damage to Shen Group's reputation and even triggered a stock drop. She's the one Jason chose to support, and she directly harmed my company. How should we settle that? Jesse immediately snapped back. You're lying. I didn't upload anything. Don't you dare frame me. Then she turned toward Jason with watery eyes. Jason, she's accusing me. You know me, I'd never do something so low. And besides, I already admitted I was partly at fault that day. Why would I upload a video that damages my own reputation? Jason raised his hand and gestured for the butler to bring tissues. He gently wiped the tears rolling down Jesse's cheeks. I believe you. There's no way you'd do something like this. Then he turned to me. Emily Shen, if you have evidence, show it. Don't throw around accusations without proof. Do you think I'm blind and deaf? And I've said it already, the shares I gave Jesse were under my name. I can give them to whoever I want. You don't get to decide that, I said flatly. Seeing Jason still stubborn and refusing to believe anything, I signaled to my assistant. He immediately laid out the PR team's findings on the table. When everyone saw the original upload data, including the device ID and address, showing it came from Jason and Jesse's riverfront villa, Jason was the first whose face completely changed. He immediately tried to argue. Impossible. Emily, this evidence must be fake. Jessie would never do something like that. She's gentle and kind like a lamb. It must be you who forged this. You probably just found out this is the house I bought for her, and now you're using it to set up this drama just to take the place back. I'm telling you right now, Emily Shen, I won't believe it. Even with the evidence right in front of him, he still refused to accept reality. Fine. Then he could wait for the police. I've already filed a complaint with the court, I said calmly. With the level of damage this caused, the sentence will start at 10 years. I poured a cup of tea and handed it to Jason's grandfather. Jesse began trembling violently beside him, and his grandfather forced a stiff smile as he accepted the cup. Emily. Jesse indeed made a mistake this time, but taking it to court is too much. If this gets out, the Shen Group will look petty and unforgiving. That could hurt your company's reputation. How about, for my sake, we let this go? Make a big issue small, and a small issue disappear? I sneered and blew gently across the surface of my tea. He was rushing to solve this, not because he cared about peace, but because he was terrified that a full investigation would expose his involvement behind the scenes. Mr. G, even if a saint came down from heaven, this matter is going to court. Otherwise, how would I explain things to the Shen Group? This scandal caused significant damage. I won't swallow this loss, and I certainly won't let the culprit walk free. The moment I finished speaking, Jason grabbed a teacup and hurled it directly at my face. My assistant blocked it with a folder in time. Emily Shen, you're out of control, he roared. You don't even listen to my grandfather. Don't forget, you're still the G family's granddaughter-in-law. So now he remembered that title. Where was that energy when he took Jesse's side again and again? Jason, I said coldly, don't use that granddaughter-in-law label to pressure me. I'm telling you now, I will not let this go. Anyone who harms the Shen Group, even by a fraction, will pay for it. Jason's grandfather's face darkened. Then I'll call your grandmother and ask if the promise she made me back then still counts. He slammed his cane so hard that the floor vibrated. I looked at my assistant, and he immediately dialed my grandmother's number and handed the phone to Mr. G. But before he even finished 2 sentences, his face turned even darker than before. Everyone exchanged alarmed glances because they could all hear my grandmother clearly through the phone. Emily is in charge of the Shen Group now. I'm old and can't meddle in anything. Whatever she does, she has her reasons. Jason couldn't help jumping in. Grandma Shen, but my grandfather saved your life back then. You can't forget that debt. My grandmother's voice shifted instantly, sharp and unwavering. And I repaid that debt by letting Emily marry you. You agreed to help restore G Corporation. My family has already been more than generous. Jason, you need to learn to appreciate Emily. She is your wife. Then she hung up. Jason's grandfather looked even more grim than before. I set down my cup. You all heard what my grandmother said. I won't be letting this go. I deliberately let my gaze drift toward Jessie. She stiffened like someone had wrapped a hand around her throat, her expression filled with terror. Jason immediately comforted her. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. Grandpa won't ignore this. Hearing that, Jessie suddenly seemed to regain confidence. She clutched Jason's wrist tightly. Jason, I just made a mistake. I wasn't thinking straight. I didn't mean to. Jessie stammered, her voice trembling. I just wanted to help you vent your anger. After what she did to you at the company, I only wanted to stand up for you. She was already rambling, desperately trying to defend herself, claiming she had done everything for Jason. But she didn't know that the evidence I held wasn't just one piece. Everyone involved would be pulled in. At that moment, the tightly closed doors were pushed open again. This time, several police officers walked in. The lead officer held up an official court summons. "Who is Jessie? Please come with us." Jessie immediately tried to run, but she was caught within a few steps. When Jason saw the court seal on the document, panic shot across his face. He rushed forward, blocking the officers. "Wait, I'm Jason G. You can't take Jessie." The police didn't spare him a glance. One officer stepped around him and spoke sternly. "Sir, do not obstruct law enforcement." Then Jason turned, red-eyed, and glared at me. "Emily Shen, withdraw the lawsuit right now. Otherwise I'll throw myself off the Shen Group building. Then you'll carry the guilt of my death for the rest of your life." Listening to him, anyone would think Jessie was his wife. I replied coldly, "Go ahead." A man as afraid of pain as he was would never dare touch a windowsill, let alone jump from a building. Jason went into a frenzy. Jessie cried and grabbed his sleeve. "Jason, please, save me. I don't want to go to jail." Seeing he wasn't responding, she turned in panic toward me. "President Shen, I know I was wrong. I don't want the shares anymore. Please withdraw the lawsuit. I'll transfer all the shares back to you immediately." But her realization came far too late. At this point, the arrow had already left the string. After Jessie was taken away in front of everyone, Jason's grandfather, who had been silent this whole time, slammed a teacup onto the table. It shattered with a sharp crack. So this is where Jason learned his habit of smashing cups, I thought. The crisp sound echoed through the room. Everyone stood frozen, barely daring to breathe. "Emily Shen," the old man said, voice hard, "even if you control the Shen Group, this is still the G family. You cannot behave so outrageously here." I replied calmly, "Outrageous? I've already done it anyway. One more time won't make a difference." He pointed at me, face flushed, lips trembling, but no words came out. I had no patience left for their hypocrisy. I gestured toward my project division staff, and they immediately placed the termination contracts in front of him. "Since Jessie's attempt to frame me has been dealt with," I said, "let's continue with the matter of ending the cooperation between our families. The contracts are ready. All that's left is your signature." Before I finished speaking, Jason suddenly slapped me. My head turned sharply from the force, pain burning across my cheek like a fire that refused to die down. "Emily Shen," he shouted, "it wasn't enough for you to have Jessie taken away. You still want to destroy the G family?" I touched my cheek and let out a cold breath. "The G family doesn't need me to destroy it. Without funding, you'll be lucky to survive a month." Jason's grandfather tightened his grip on his cane, but still forced a gentle expression. "Emily, whatever issues you and Jason have, they're marital problems. They don't need to escalate to dissolving the cooperation between our families. I've already contacted HR, the CEO position has been returned to you, and I've transferred some of my personal shares to compensate you. Let's end the matter with Jessie here. Stop creating conflict over someone who has nothing to do with our family," Jason's grandfather said, with a wave of his hand. The butler immediately brought over the share transfer agreement and placed it in front of me. I glanced at it, picked it up, and tore it cleanly into pieces, scattering them right in front of his face. Once the termination contract was submitted, I said coldly, "There's no reason to take it back. My words stand. From today onward, the Shen Group officially ends its partnership with G Corporation. Not another penny of investment will be given." Jason's face turned ghost white. "Emily Shen," he stammered, "is it really because I transferred 5% of my shares to Jessie at the shareholders' meeting? Or because I asked you to apologize to her in front of everyone?" He swallowed hard and rushed to explain. "I only did that because Jessie and I grew up together. I was just biased toward her for a moment. You're my wife. How can you not understand that?" As he spoke, a single tear slid down his cheek, exactly like the way he came begging me before our marriage, pleading with me to save G Corporation. If I hadn't already seen through the G family's ambitions, even I might not be able to tell whether this display of emotion was genuine or just another performance. "Then what about the wedding photo of you and Jessie displayed in your office?" I asked. "Is that also because you grew up together? Was that just you two playing house?" I let out a soft laugh. "Jason, I'm not stupid. Don't expect me to believe nothing's happened between the two of you. Jason froze, his face draining of color. His eyes widened. How do you know about the photo frame? As soon as he said it, he seemed to realize his slip and hurriedly tried to explain. It's not what you think, Emily, I swear. Before he could finish, Jason's grandfather slapped him so hard his face turned red and swollen, tears spilling from his eyes. Grandpa, why did you hit me? Jason shouted, clutching his cheek. Jason's grandfather glared at him coldly, and he immediately fell silent. It's just a photo, the old man said stiffly. It proves nothing. Besides, he's your husband. If you can't control him, that's your own failure. There's no need to drag this into a matter between two families. If word spreads, people will say the Shen family is ungrateful and difficult to deal with. He paused before continuing. Better to settle this quietly. Let the matter end here. Don't pursue it further. I didn't respond. Jason's grandfather wasn't talking for morality's sake. He was trying to salvage the G family's chance at clinging to Shen Group's investment. Unfortunately for him, all his efforts were doomed to fail. Jason had betrayed the marriage and cheated with Jessie. That alone was enough to tear the alliance apart. And with the old man helping Jessie attack my company behind the scenes, hoping to swallow my group whole, they called this a small matter? If this was small, then cutting all funding from G Corporation was also a small matter to me. Jason's grandfather fell silent, but Jason himself pointed at me, furious. Emily Shen, Grandpa's right. It was just a picture. Why are you being so unreasonable? You go in and out of business dinners with all kinds of men. Have I ever questioned who you bring? All I did was take a photo with Jessie as a keepsake, and you refused to let it go. Why are you so petty? The moment he finished speaking, laughter erupted around us. My assistant's face instantly darkened. He couldn't hold back anymore. President G, he said sharply, President Shen never brings male companions to any business event. She only brings me. Jason's expression twisted, turning into a messy swirl of colors, like a palette slapped together in panic. I'm done arguing with you, Emily Shen, he snapped. I'll say it once, you cannot withdraw funding from G Corporation. If you insist, then we're getting a divorce. He ripped the ring from his finger and flung it into the air. The next second, I heard the faint sound of a ring hitting the floor. I suddenly found him laughably pathetic. He looked just like a clown. Jason, do you misunderstand something? I said coldly. The Shen family values loyalty, yes. But not unconditionally. You cheated on me with Jessie. Why should I cling to this marriage like a fool? Why should I let you threaten me? I stared at him. From the moment I announced the Shen Group would withdraw its investment from G Corporation, our so-called alliance was already over. You were simply too blind to see it. Jason looked completely stunned. He replayed everything in his mind. At the shareholders' meeting, when he publicly announced he was giving 5% of his shares to Jessie, I had already warned him. If he insisted, I would withdraw funding immediately. I thought you were just angry, he whispered, voice trembling. I didn't think you'd actually do it. He looked broken, except no one cared. I glanced at my watch. The divorce lawyer should be arriving right then. The most famous divorce attorney in the entire city, Jonathan Reed, pushed open the door. I tilted my head and gave Jason a polite smile. Jason, didn't you say you wanted a divorce? This here is Jonathan Reed, the best divorce lawyer in the city. He's been handling our divorce case under my commission. Jonathan gave a concise introduction, then took an envelope from his briefcase and handed it to me. Mrs. G, your divorce agreement. I skimmed through it. After the divorce, I would receive 80% of the joint assets. And the shares in G Corporation under Jason's name would be considered marital assets awarded to me, based on my contribution to rebuilding the company during our marriage. Jason saw the distribution and exploded. Dishes shattered again across the living room. Emily Shen, what the hell is this? Why do I only get 20%? I don't agree to this. Before he could finish yelling, his phone rang sharply. President G, bad news. After the Shen Group withdrew, the other partners heard G Corporation is losing its main investor. They're demanding to terminate their contracts too. Several partners are already at the office demanding to see you. Jason clenched his jaw, furious. A bunch of useless idiots. Can't you calm them down yourselves? What the hell do I pay you for? He hung up violently. It was clear the business world had already received news of Shen Group's withdrawal. Jason's grandfather stiffened, his face darkening. Emily. They say a married couple shares 100 days of kindness even after parting. For the sake of your 1 year of marriage, can't we let this go? There's no need to really get divorced. But before he finished, 2 police officers pushed open the door and walked straight toward him. Mr. G, one officer said, you are involved in a criminal case regarding malicious online manipulation and defamation. Please come with us. Jason's grandfather froze, stunned into silence. He hadn't expected the police to act so quickly. Jason rushed to block them. My grandfather did nothing wrong. You can't take him. The officer held up the summons. It clearly stated that he was implicated in the online attacks. Jason stared at the document, stunned. After a long moment he whispered, Grandpa, you were involved in Jesse's case too? The old man didn't answer. He simply told Jason, do not agree to the divorce, before being taken away. Watching him leave, Jason's eyes turned red again. He finally broke down, crying as he grabbed my arm. Emily, I was wrong. I shouldn't have favored Jessie. She's already being punished. Can we just stop here? My grandfather didn't mean to cause trouble. Whether he meant it or not was for the law to decide. But, as for Jason, I knew very well that his betrayal of me was absolutely intentional. I took the tablet from my assistant and showed the court documents to Jason. That, I said coldly, is for the judge to decide. It has nothing to do with me. We've been married for a year, I said quietly. You should know me well enough by now. I always mean what I say. This divorce is happening. On the tablet screen was surveillance footage, Jason and Jessie on a late-night date. And it happened on our first wedding anniversary. Jason had claimed he was too busy with company matters to attend, so I helped him cancel our family visit with his grandmother. I never imagined that the important business he mentioned was sneaking out to meet Jessie. He even took the wedding ring I'd given him and had a new one custom-made for her. Watching the 2 of them kissing passionately in the video made something cold curl inside my chest. I motioned for my assistant to pause. Jason, I said, my voice steady, you told me you and Jessie had cut all ties. How do you explain this? The thought that he had been secretly involved with Jessie throughout our entire marriage, despite even a political marriage having its boundaries, filled me with fury. I would never allow such humiliation to be dumped on my head. Jason staggered backward when he saw the footage. He bumped into a vase, wincing in pain before scrambling to explain. Emily, I can explain. It was just a dare, punishment for losing a game, and besides, Jessie and I grew up together. Enough. Shut your mouth, I snapped. I don't want to hear another excuse. Sign the papers. We're getting divorced. If I hadn't told my assistant to investigate Jason earlier, I would never have known how long the 2 of them had been colluding behind my back. And worse, he actually thought I could forgive him. Truly laughable. I don't agree, he said firmly. That's fine, I replied. I can file for a compulsory divorce. Then this video will be used as evidence in open court. Let's see whose side the judge takes. Jason fell silent. All color drained from his face as he bit down hard on his lower lip. After a long moment of thinking, he finally picked up the pen and began to sign. But before the tip touched the paper, he suddenly looked at me. I'll sign, but only if you restore funding to G Corporation. I let out a short laugh and placed the video from the G Corporation employee group chat in front of him. The screen showed the entire entrance of G Corporation, surrounded by people, partners, creditors, protesters, demanding an explanation from the G family. Jason, I said coolly, what makes you think you're in any position to negotiate with me? The last trace of hope in his eyes vanished when he saw the crowd. After he signed, I left the G estate immediately. Jason rushed off to try and clean up the mess at the company. Within 2 days, I heard from my assistant that Jason had been attacked by furious partners and sent to the hospital, again. I ignored it. My focus was solely on negotiating the compensation terms between the Shen Group and G Corporation. After more than a month of meetings and legal discussions, the collaboration between our 2 families officially came to an end. And Jessie's case was concluded as well. She was originally sentenced to 10 years. But thanks to Jason pleading for leniency and paying substantial compensation, her sentence was reduced by 3 years. Jason's grandfather, on the other hand, received only minor disciplinary consequences and was released home without major punishment. When my assistant reported this to me, I simply gave a cold smile. Bookmark. Because once the old man returned home, he would find another pile of unpaid debts waiting for him, debts that would require the entire G Corporation to cover. After all, this was always the kind of life the G family was meant to face.